The murder of Thomas Becket. Power, betrayal and blood in the cathedral. On a bitter winter evening in 1270, 4 knights crept through the silent corridors of Canterbury Cathedral. Their target? Not a soldier, not a king, but the most powerful churchman in England. What followed would shake Christendom to its core and echo through history for centuries to come. This is the story of the brutal murder of Archbishop Thomas Becket and how it became one of the most infamous crimes of the Middle Ages. England in turmoil. The 12th century was a time of shifting power in England. Kings ruled by divine right, but the Church, led by the Pope in Rome, wielded enormous influence. Monarchs and archbishops often clashed over control, over laws, taxes and most of all justice. Enter King Henry II, clever, ambitious and ruthless. He wanted to consolidate royal authority across his sprawling Angevin empire. But to do that, he needed the church firmly under royal control. Becket rises. Thomas Becket was born around 1120, the son of a London merchant. Charismatic and educated, he caught the attention of Henry and quickly rose through the ranks. By 1155, he was Chancellor of England, one of the king's closest allies and drinking companions. Henry saw Becket as loyal, intelligent and useful. So when the Archbishop of Canterbury died in 1162, Henry appointed Becket, expecting his old friend to help bring the church under royal control. But Henry underestimated Becket's faith. Friendship turns to feud. Once he became Archbishop, Becket transformed. He embraced a life of piety, austerity and fierce loyalty to the church. He resigned as Chancellor and opposed Henry's attempts to extend royal authority over clerics. The flashpoint came in 1164 with the Constitutions of Clarendon, a set of laws that tried to limit the church's independence. Becket refused to sign. Henry was furious. Their friendship crumbled. Becket was charged with contempt and fled into exile in France, where he remained for 6 years. But exile didn't silence Becket. It only strengthened his resolve. Returned to England. In 1170, under pressure from the Pope and facing unrest in his realm, Henry allowed Becket to return to England. It should have been a reconciliation. Instead, it was a countdown to murder. Becket quickly excommunicated bishops who had sided with Henry. It was a direct slap in the king's face. When news of Becket's defiance reached Henry, the king, already furious, allegedly exploded in rage. According to one chronicler, he shouted, "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" Those words, whether meant as an order or just a drunken outburst, would have deadly consequences. Murder in the cathedral on December 29th, 1170, 4 knights, Reginald Fitzurse, Hugh de Morville, William de Tracy and Richard le Breton, arrived at Canterbury Cathedral. Loyal to the king, they believed they were doing his bidding. Becket was inside preparing for Vespers. The knights stormed in, swords drawn, demanding he absolve the excommunicated bishops. Becket refused. He reportedly said, "Here I am, not a traitor, but a priest of God." The knights struck. First a sword sliced the crown of his head. Another blow scattered his brains onto the floor. Becket fell, blood staining the altar steps. The Archbishop of Canterbury was dead, murdered in his own cathedral. Aftermath and outrage, the reaction was swift and global. The Christian world was horrified. Becket became a martyr overnight. Miracles were reported at his tomb. Pilgrims flocked to Canterbury. Just 3 years later, the Pope canonised Becket as a saint. King Henry, facing excommunication and rebellion, did penance. In 1174, he walked barefoot to Becket's shrine and allowed monks to flog him in public. A king, whipped by the church he once tried to tame. Legacy. The murder of Thomas Becket reshaped the balance of power in medieval England. It cemented the church's authority and humbled the monarchy, at least for a time. His shrine became one of the most important pilgrimage sites in Europe, immortalised later in Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. But above all, his death raised a question that still echoes today. What happens when loyalty to the crown clashes with loyalty to conscience? Thomas Becket was not the first victim of political violence, nor the last, but his death, in the most sacred of places, stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the courage it takes to stand alone in the face of a king. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this historical deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more stories from history's darker corners. Until next time, stay curious.